Let me see if I
Yep, 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 yep.
No.
Yeah, man, we are live here with attorney Michael Leroy Bell with one of the best law firms in the city. No, in the county, no. Maybe the state, no, that's Mike Bell. Probably one of the ones in the country, man. The little short time I've been knowing this fellow, I'm talking about for real, man. He's very knowledgeable and very urban as well. So it ain't like you can talk shit to Mike and then think, Mike, say, hold on, cuz, let me tell you something. All that night shit changed instantly. So, you know, hey, I'm glad he chose to come through and pull up on us down here at Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 90. And, you know, of course, we like to have folks inside of here that can tell you some real deal info.
The professionals.
That just not our opinion. Somebody who actually went to school, like over, he went to school before. You know, that I went to school. Look at he's on the screen behind. Look at it. Got Vaseline on his face and everything. Look at that, Mike. Look at that, Mike.
Oh, we for sure gonna give him that.
Look at him on there. Look at him.
got me on the screen.
You know what I'm saying? That's that good internet right there. That's that 200 megabit kicking in.
We're gonna give him that barbershop odyssey.
That's right, man. So we're sitting here on the ones and twos.
Right
When I say
along with the
ones and
school.
two, I'm talking about the camera and the computer. K1 with Z-Lens Media. We got Sammy No-Nos over there to my right.
Keep
and
that info
the
for
left
you.
on his left. We got Mike Bell in the middle. Then I am comedian, narrator, haircut, slanger, Ben Mac. And we're finna see what attorney Mike Bell made time at your busy day to come on down to us regular folks, man. That's what I'm talking about. They say them Connerville folks was all right now. So, I mean, I guess they just keep proving it right between you, Pepe. I'm talking about all them folks. What up, Pepe? What's happening?
Yeah.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Collegeville is the truth.
Yeah. You don't know Pepe now? Them blankness.
Oh, the Blakeness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
The Blakeness, a set of the Blakeness actually lived behind my grandmother.
Oh, really?
We
Okay.
were all on
That a
33rd.
settle. They must be deep.
Man, it was we were on 33rd Street North, and right behind that house was the Blakeness house.
Mm-hmm.
And all I remember about that house is they had chickens in the backyard, roosters. It was
Yeah,
like
Pepe, y'all have some chicken.
It was like every morning, roosters, man.
I ain't gonna lie,
But that was Collegeville.
well, that'll keep you from breaking a nigga house, though, man. Like I said, it's one thing to see a dog. You might tell a dog come in, but you can't talk down on a rooster.
Man, with some bird feed.
I'm telling you, or skillet. Skillet out there, just have it sizzling.
Some Crisco.
I'm telling you, break up that plan.
That's right.
She said 33rd play.
See, that's I told you that we lived on 33rd Street. It was my grandma's house, my mom's house on 33rd Street, and the Blakeness lived right behind us.
Chickens and roosters.
Yep, that's it, boy. That's it.
What happened?
The white Blakeness.
Gotta get back
all
to
of
that.
them, man.
Mm,
You gotta teach us how to wring one of them chicken necks and get them to a boiler
Yeah.
and a skillet.
Nick podcast,
That's what we need.
Bring Stephen up here and show her how to do it. Yeah.
Know how high chicken is?
Had a bird flu, you touch them chickens, boy.
What?
Oh, yeah. I just say, you need nothing grease can't cook out. You just turn it on 400. Just
She
burn
said
it
she
right
most
out.
definitely remember you.
That's it, man. That's it.
Remember
The
Mike.
Chapman family. That's my folks out of Collegeville. Don't say that too loud, because not all the Chapmans
I said they're great guys.
are stand-up people.
The
But
guard ain't through with him yet.
Yeah, you broke out claiming them, man. You got to keep on claiming them now, man.
that's my family, man. The Chapmans.
The champions, they the hard-headed ones and all. They need love,
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
I
That's
feel
it.
I feel you. We all got them.
What kind of attorney are you, Mike?
Man, personal injury.
Personal
Injury. From auto accidents all the way to apartment shootings, stabbings, rapes, anything that encompasses an injury, we handle it, we win it, and we take care of it.
All right, so you said personal injury. Now, out of all the kinds of law to practice, from intellectual property down to divorce to criminal, what
Right.
made you choose personal injury? Like, was that something that you was in school, like, you know what, I'm gonna be a motherfucking personal injury
Well-
attorney, or it just kind of came about through college, or how did it come about?
Well, the funny thing about it is that, so when I was in law school, I actually did not want to practice law for real. I was just, it was one of those things where you just go to school. Well, let me say it this way. I always wanted to be an attorney, but once I went to law school, I didn't know if I actually wanted to practice. So it's like once you get in, it's like, well, maybe I'll do something else. So when I got out, I actually did start practicing at the firm that I was interning at. But
was it the ugly truth, or you go too far that made you say,
Well, no, it was more so. I actually enjoyed my time in law school so much. We did, trial team where you actually in court, presenting the trial, presenting the facts, talking to a jury, and it's like, okay, well, this is interesting. So I interned while I was in law school, but I interned at a collections firm, basically suing people who had, payday loans and all this stuff. And then you start going through the name list, the address list, and you like, well, number one, I know this person. That's my cousin over here. Man. And then you start looking at it, it's like, man, we suing a whole bunch of black folks. We suing people that look like us for these companies that's out here basically pimping us. So I was like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Predatory lending rates.
Exactly. Predatory lenders,
come
man.
back and get you about 3-4 times the same money.
Right. So I was like, okay, well, I want something that takes me back to what I was doing when I was doing trial team. And so that's when I was like, you know what, let me step out here and let me get into the personal injury arena. And so after that, I was like, okay, I really love this because instead of hurting somebody who gets caught up in a payday loan or gets caught up in a bad car loan, now I can help somebody who has been injured or wronged. So, it's the trade-off of, you may have a steady paycheck over here by suing somebody at the collection firm, but you might have to grind over here doing personal injury, but the reward, is better. Right.
So that's why I said, not because y'all, that's why I mean when I was saying ugly truth, but you get into certain professions, you get to find out, do I really want to skin niggas ass up like this?
It's, for what the truth is, what people see on TV is not what the practice of law is.
Yes, right.
So stuff that's on, what was this, NYPD Blue, Law and Order, all that kind of stuff, the stuff that you see on divorce court, paternity court, that's not what the real everyday practice of law is. But when you go into it, that's what you have in the back of your head, like, I'm gonna walk in court and have that Perry Mason moment, like, aha, here is the knife.
I got it.
Right, that ain't how that works.
So let me ask you this: so personal injury, so you one of them attorneys that just keep your a little walkie-talkie in the police scanner and find out all the good wrecks and the incidents is, man, you got no walkie-talkie when you do it, man.
So here's the funny thing about it. My mom, so I'm adopted by my aunt and my uncle, but my mom, about 4 or 5 years ago, got into a car accident right in front of Hopewell Baptist Church in North Birmingham. Shout out to Pastor Tim Woods. Right in front of that church. And when the police pulled up, the first thing the police was like, well, you ought to call such and such law firm. Not knowing at the time, I'm like, well, number one, this is my mama, I'm her son, and I'm her attorney. But I'm sitting here listening to this situation like you got a cop who is referring a person at the scene of an accident to somebody else's law firm, which is against the law.
Oh, it is?
You cannot
you
do that.
Something new there?
You can't do that because what that is called, it's called running cases. So you have attorneys who have nurses, who have doctors, who have police officers, people that drive the ambulances, firefighters. They have these people on payroll, and they sliding the money. Like, hey, you give me so many folks to come in. You out here working these accidents. I give you a couple $100.
That's a good
That is against the law. In Alabama, is not talked about as much as it is in Florida. Man, you can get time, like serious time for running cases.
So they must have been going real hard with it.
Right. So all of that stuff, man, you can't, number one, you can't solicit at the scene of an accident. And number two, an attorney cannot contract somebody to solicit at the scene of an accident at a hospital for them.
So what about though when, like, after wreck, because I done had a couple of wrecks in my time, and after those wrecks, people will call you. Like a day or two later, sometime a few days later, but they'll call, hey, this such and such.
Right. And so an attorney, again, cannot do that, and they can't have someone do that for them behind the scenes.
What happens
is that you have these people who, they'll go get public records, so they'll go into the database and find police reports, and then they'll call you. A lot of times, they call themselves like attorney networks, or they call themselves like injury networks, injury clinics, and they'll try and get you in by calling you. Now, some of the operations are legit. Some of the operations are not breaking any laws, but it gets a little skewed because a lot of times there are attorneys on the other end of that have a vested interest in what's going on. Mm-hmm. So, the one thing about an accident is why the rules are you cannot solicit at the scene of an accident. If I pass by on First Avenue and I see two cars, I can't throw my card out the window, because at the scene of an accident you got people who are emotionally distraught and they don't have the time to process, number one, what has happened, and number two, they can't make an informed decision at the scene of an accident.
So what if they on Instagram, they run by one of your commercials?
That's different.
Boom.
Now that's different.
Mike Bell, attorney injury.
That's different.
It's different.
That's different.
So
that's different.
So you're geo-tracking and put that commercial in our phone at the time.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. That does not skirt the rules of legal ethics.
That's a new one though. I've never heard of that. I didn't know it was a rule to that. I thought that that's what they did. Kind of like when I see somebody with.
Well, see, and that's what gives personal injury attorneys the bad name, the bad
ambulance chases.
Right, ambulance chases. That's what people think when they think of a personal injury attorney. Is someone out here just chasing a wreck, chasing an accident, and you can't do that. You have to give people enough time to sit down, think, and assess the situation, and then make an informed decision. Which is why, like we've talked about before, which is why attorney advertising, which we see on TV, is so, right now, it's so crazy. There is an attorney, not calling names, nobody who's located here in Birmingham, but there's an attorney in the state of Alabama who has a commercial that has been playing, and the commercial says that this young Caucasian lady won $2 million. Now, if you look closely at that commercial, number one, that's an actor. That's not the actual client who won $2 million.
But they have to put that at the bottom too, actor portrayal, right? Or dramatization.
It can be small as you want it to be. But one thing about it is that a lot of people don't take the time to assess and actually have critical thinking. So they'll look at that commercial and be, oh, such and such got this woman $2 million. But the flip side of that is that you don't know, number one, that's an actor. Number two, you don't know that the person on the other end of that $2 million is probably half dead or had some kind of serious injury that you definitely don't want to have, or that you're not going to have in an everyday car accident.
But it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was about to say that. Like, a lot of time when I see all them six-figure, I be like, man, them folk legally retarded.
I don't want it like that.
Them folk got a limp that's out this world. You keep that little money, man.
But that's what gets people.
I don't want it like that.
That's what gets people hooked. A lot of these law firms, and especially the ones that come out of state, they come into the state, that you don't know if Madam's house kept. A lot of these firms are nothing but what we call personal injury mills. So you got 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 clients at a time that are calling you every day, signing them up, and then you get them in the mill, and you just you do what they call churn and burn. You churn the cases and you burn them. You get in the lowest settlement that you can get as quickly as you can get. And what we try to do is, number one, we want to create a family atmosphere with all of our clients. So, whether it's somebody from Collegeville or whether it's somebody from Mountain Brook, we treat everyone on an individual level as opposed to just a number.
Yeah.
And so we counsel our clients that, number one, this is not going to take 2 weeks. This is going to take more so like 6 months at the least. It could go as long as 2 years if we have to file a lawsuit. And so that's where you have to set expectations on the front end, because attorney advertising to have you think, well, I can get $100,000 in 6 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Right. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen.
No. Well, and then I know you said you do personal injury, so I'm sure personal injury cover a wide variety of cases. So I guess in one of the most recent incidents that we had, when William Smith slapped Christopher,
slap heard around the world.
Yeah, Hurricane Rock.
Right.
So with that, if Chris Rock chose to sue, would that fall upon the personal injury? And how would that be handled? Because I know by everybody saying it, I'm sure they'll probably be quick to want to settle. But what does a case like that even really work? Or is it a personal injury case?
So it would classify, number one, it would classify two ways. It would classify as a civil case as well as a criminal case, because you have the criminal assault and battery, but you also have the civil personal injury side, which still encompasses assault and battery. So let's just say, like they said that the LAPD went to Chris Rock and said, "Hey, do you want us to press charges against Mr. Smith?" He says no. At that point, if he had said yes, they could have pursued criminal charges against Will Smith for slapping Chris Rock.
But couldn't the state pick that case up though? Because I've heard state pick up cases too. Like if I remember, me and you get into it and you decide, fine, you shoot me.
Right.
But we work it out. I don't want to press charges. Mike did shoot me. I don't want to press charges. I done heard the state.
In certain situations, especially if it constitutes a felony assault and battery, the state can then bring those charges. But normally, you in a misdemeanor situation, you normally won't see that happen.
That wasn't no misdemeanor slap.
They said Oscar wanted him now. They said Chris Rock like, no, I ain't gonna do it. But them both friends now, don't get your black ass out there and slap no damn comedian. Right. and think somebody gonna happen to you.
Right. Because what happens
you
is
get beat up, drug out,
exactly.
and sued, bro.
At the level that the LAPD is involved, those are municipal misdemeanor charges. So if it goes to a situation where the state gets involved, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a felony charge.
That was felonious though, Mike.
That was crazy.
You slapped a 57-year-old black man. Like, think about this. See, the reason why it's so tripped out, like a lot of people, they saying them, they clean, they got Vaseline on their faces, fresh, black out. They don't realize that man 57 and 53. Most black men, I can't speak for white men because I don't be around a lot of them like this, but most men, I say that if you haul off and just out the blue slap one of them, if they have a firearm on them, they going to put that iron on you.
Right.
And it's going to be justified. So to me, you know, and of course, I don't know Chris Rock or Will Smith, so I don't wish no bad or good on either one, but to me, that was a felony, man. So he could have got killed, man.
So that's true.
For real.
But here's what
could have happened to him.
Here's what happens now. Like you said, now if he had a firearm on him, Chris Rock had a shot him. Now you would actually see Chris Rock 9 times out of 10 be charged with attempted murder. Why? Because most jurisdictions look at self-defense as you have to return the same level that is as the level of threat, the same level of violence or protection as the same level. So if a slap, if I'm slapped, if I pull out a gun, is that the same level? So I get what you're saying.
Hood justice?
Right.
Yes.
And I definitely understand. But so in that situation,
let's see what the judge say there.
Right.
So yeah, but see, Will Smith, well, it could be a misdemeanor because that was a weak ass slap. Right. But if he would have ride and gripped their face, and he would pull all over the stage.
The way I looked at it is,
it would have been a felony.
The way I looked at it is, number one, you have Will Smith in an environment that he knows. Number one, no one is going to do anything to him. It took him. If you looked at it, it was like, okay, number one, nobody's about to stop me. Number two, nobody even knows or even thinks that I'm fixing to go up here and do something to this guy.
I agree.
And honestly, I don't think he made the decision to slap him up until he got right to him and said, "Let me just haul off."
When that aggressive ass woman put that look on him, that way, cause you remember he was chuckling like hell. I'm talking about that good laughing. And then when she. Man, that's when he was like, prove my love.
The one thing about it is, you can see the gears start turning in Chris Rock's head. Should I retaliate, or should I just be like, no? Because who had the most to lose in this situation?
Both of them.
Right.
When
you look at the level of stardom, Will Smith is a bigger star than Chris Rock. You may look at it as Chris Rock. I can't even.
Chris Rock was at work though.
Yeah, he was at work.
He was at work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this is my thought on it. I believe that Chris Rock and William Smith both been around money and big time acting since they was teenagers in the early 20s. I don't think neither one of them got a lot of urban in them where they right to even know how to fight. That's why Will Smith throw that slap where it was like, psst. It was weak as hell, and everybody knew it. And Chris Rock, I think. He felt like the Grammys are so, not the Grammys, the Oscars so high and prestigious, he would have never thought Will Smith would have done it. But he couldn't have had no fight on him because 50 Cent, I might have been stunned for about a second. But the next move, you know how you run into somebody back and their legs and their back, all that shit do like that, we would have fell off stage together. Mm-hmm. And then when they would have took me out that whole mic with one arm, you know, the security be running with you, I'd have still been cussing on the way out the door. When I see you at that party, bitches, oh, bitch. I promise you. Because at 57, the humiliation from his wife, his brother them cracking and shit, the children looking at you crazy, people everywhere they see you. So man, how you feel about the slap?
It was
that's humiliating.
You can see the humiliation on his face. It was like,
and Will Smith was rapping and everything at the party, singing "Get Jiggy With."
The sad part about it is, you know, it definitely was bad for black men, definitely.
No,
but number two,
it was bad for them too, Mike.
Right. But you could, you know what? How I look at it is, you are now witnessing the downfall or the descent of Will Smith's career.
Oh yeah, everybody witnessed it because they talking about their talent.
This is the train.
So the talent agent trying to think about dropping him.
Well, you got to think about it. Now he's resigned from the academy. If you resign from the academy, that means that you cannot be nominated for any of those awards. So that means now, as a person who's producing a film or directing a film, do I want Will Smith just because he can act and draw a crowd, but I can't win the awards?
But you got to look at it like this. On the flip side, though, see, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, Michael. He can play in shit like Ball of Blacker, I'm About It, movies like that. Real fire in him. There's a man, Will Smith and Pinky.
No, he gonna be. Will Smith is gonna be in the next I Got the Hook Up.
That should be fine on.
That was the fall of Will, man. At the end of the day of anybody.
Master Pete already called him.
We can't be judged by Will Slap out here now.
Will, I got a part for you, Will. You can start in this one.
We're
gonna spend.
Hey, you mentioned where Eddie said Chris Rock pulling out a gun.
Mm-hmm.
What if Chris Rock had slapped him and twisted him off stage and something happened to Will?
Well, that's
at
that point, I would think that would be right. That would be self-defense. He's returning the same level of force that was given to him from Will Smith. So I mean, if Will Smith get hurt after Chris Rock slapping back, it is what it is.
Then see a lot of old men carry pocket knives. Like what if soon you slap, you just heard stab 3-4 times. I would have laid in jail like Joe Clark did when he put them chains on the door. I'd have been laying in the LA County jail. Chris Rock, huh? In there chilling. No, dog, cause like I just think about the humiliation. Like think about this, right? You're a great guy, and I think I'm a pretty great guy too. If me and you had some words, right? I'm talking about we had some words out the world. Then all of a sudden, boom, fuck nigga. Then somebody break us up and say, y'all chill out, work that shit out. What you thinking? You want your leg back. I was up down 10 years later, dog. Chris Rock, I can imagine him just sitting at the house at the edge of the bed, 4:15 in the morning, like, man, I'm gonna whoop that bitch.
Well, and I'm sure he is still thinking the same thing, but when you think about, okay, I still gotta get paid. I can't go out like that. Sometimes it's like, ugh.
Sometimes he'd have been excused because everybody's saying if he'd have reacted right then, just a straight up reaction, I think it'd have been all like excused. Mm-hmm. You'd have had some folks like it just was classless. You'd have had a little of that,
but the thing is
that seen him get struck.
In that moment, nobody knew that it was real. Everybody in the audience was still looking like...
I still kind of doubt it, but you know, Mike, it is what it don't happen now.
But guess who knew it was real, Mike?
Chris Rock knew it was real.
Chris Rock
he got them jaw rock regardless, whether it's real or fake.
Man. He supposed to heard this sound here. The pants getting grabbed and slammed off the stage.
That reminds me of, number one, Callaway Elementary School, Hudson Middle School, and Carver High School. Man, if you had did that to somebody that wasn't it would have been over with.
Even a person who's non-violent would have jumped on you, man.
Yeah,
like
man, it would have been over with.
That slap is a hard pill to swallow.
It would have been over.
Walked off like Chris wasn't gonna do nothing to him.
Man,
you ever seen somebody kick somebody with 2 feet? I'd have ran and drop kicked with both feet. I'd have fell on my own back trying to kick him. I'd have put both my feet together and kicked him in the middle of the
He walked down some steps, man. Stop.
Yeah.
But see, I think it was one of the things is like Chris did not realize, number one, I don't even think, it's just when you stunned and you in shock, like, did this really happen to me? Did he really just come here and slap me? It's like your best friend.
You know how you come downstairs like this, Mike? I would have been falling down the step coming at it. He would have heard. He would have heard. Feet speeding up, all kind of shit, man.
I don't know. It was.
Some hard ass dress shoes.
I don't know. I just the way he was looking. It just I felt sorry.
And, and then I hate the argument where everybody talking about he defended his wife and all that. But the only argument I have against that, but you can't determine what he would have done. Because in other situations, he would have got shot. Mm-hmm. So he was willing to die by that honor. Now, I'm not condoning it. But we know 50-some, 40-some-year-old men who get slapped, get stabbed, or shot
people
in
saying
2022.
People saying he was defending his wife, but he wasn't defending his wife when he was laughing at the joke.
Yeah, but, and then don't forget this too, his wife made a post, said she don't need no defending. The same chick you trying to defend that got her ass and made a post talking about she ain't no woman that need to be defended or something. Some old disrespectful shit. I think she don't like him. And I think he fighting to prove his love, and she just don't care nothing about it. And I'm just saying that based off the actions. Because even on Square Table Talk, when they had that square nigga sitting there, I was like, okay, she's handling you. Then she even said the statement, Mike, that he slay like a girl.
Say what?
His old lady said he fucked like a girl.
She said that?
Yes. Cause see, I don't really watch
at that point, like all his manhood is gone because now the whole earth.
Well, reason you got to defend out of that.
Yeah, and then but
ain't no defending after this.
And you know, like people be saying, don't speak on people's houses and shit. But she spoke on this on a public platform. Then you won't even face the truth and be like, yeah, I fucked him, Tommy. It was an entanglement. That's supposed to be a foul right there. If you want to slap somebody, it's supposed to be her bald head ass supposed to got one of them. Man, it's just to me, I just think that he let a lot of stuff build up, and the nigga who he already didn't like that he knew wasn't gonna do nothing is who he did.
But you know what? We're gonna find out a lot more about this in August. In August.
I ain't gonna slap your ass in, Mike.
Damn.
Hey, Michael. Step outside. Hey, it's Will Smith.
Hey, don't get mad at Chris because of August. I'm just saying.
Then August came out with a statement.
Man, for what?
That's even more disrespectful.
He didn't made too many statements. Like August, just go. You causing this terrible.
That's a hard situation.
Adding fuel to the fire, man.
Mm-hmm.
Barbershop Stories Podcast, episode 90. We are here with legendary attorney Michael Landarius Bell from Carver High School.
You really gonna have these folks thinking that my middle name is Landarius?
Yeah, he don't be like folks know his name. People, Landarius, people.
Nah, it's Landarius.
Oh, that ain't say right there.
Which one is it?
You got two of them, no?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Don't give me them.
Yeah.
I rolled back to when we were talking about the injuries, just accident or something tying to that. Now, just say you have a car accident, get hurt, police come out, make the report, you go through the insurance, all that stuff. Most people, I tell you what, explain what the insurance company is looking at that time as far as who's at fault, who's not, what injuries happen at the scene of the accident. What are they looking at to determine that? Are they just going off hearsay? How does that go?
So when the insurance company gets involved, they're going to be looking at, number one, what the police report says.
Exactly.
Then they're going to look at, from the police report and whatever pictures they have, what does the diagram of the scene of the accident look like? How was the accident caused, and who was at fault, or were both parties equally to blame for the accident? Mm-hmm. After a determination of liability is made, then they look at the injured parties' injuries. So, back in the day, you could basically just say, I got $30,000 in medical bills, give me 3 times that, and then insurance companies might negotiate a little bit. All right, here's $90,000, $60,000. But today, insurance companies have gotten to the point where, like I said, churn and burn firms have churned and burned so many cases that insurance companies are now getting to the point where, like, look, man, we ain't gonna keep paying you just to be paying y'all money. We want to see some real injuries.
Yeah.
So, like in the back in the day, you could go to a chiropractor,
And
you know,
just say,
get $5,000 in medical bills.
get a little write-up.
Right, you get 25, 30 grand. But now the insurance companies want to see, do you have real verified
check up on you.
injuries?
So before they pay you, they'll send somebody out to watch your ass.
Right. So everything is everything depends upon the actual injuries.
And that changed, like, when did you say
So
that kind of phase?
all of that started to change about 10 years ago. And that was
Shortly after mandated insurance. Well, I ain't gonna say shortly. That was a while after
That
mandated
was
insurance.
2002.
Yeah.
Mandated insurance.
They came on with it, huh?
right. So, and a lot of that had to do also with what we call the collateral source rule. Alabama changed a lot
About
of
10 years, huh?
rules of a lot of its how it interprets that and how it's viewed. And so insurance companies now have a little bit more leeway to reject certain claims or hold off on paying certain claims and not pay as much. And one of the worst insurance companies, or if not the worst insurance companies to deal with, is State Farm Insurance. State Farm is the largest insurer, and State Farm does not want to pay you for
They
anything.
gonna call on your
They
house.
don't want to play.
No, State
Yeah.
Farm nitpicks about everything.
That reason I ask, cause you people have accidents, just say, and like you said, you have a certain expectation. You've been off work such and such amount of time. You think you finna get this or that,
Reimbursed.
or it come down to sometimes simple as people don't really check the report, check with the police and look at the report or talk through the report. They may let the other person sit over there and do all the talking, and they don't understand what to do.
Right.
And here you go. The person that probably clearly lied and said they weren't their fault.
Right.
You ain't asked no question. You just got the paper, and the insurance called you. Now you at fault, and you like, oh, but I said such. But they done wrote it on the report now.
So
Can that be reversed too? I guess they
So-
made the two
Yeah.
part.
You mean as far as like reversing the police report?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. So police officers, oftentimes, if something is reported wrong or something is missed, police will amend or correct the police report.
Do you have to
Now,
go
how
through
long-
hell and hot water? Or,
Yes. Now that's the other thing.
Exactly.
because
That ain't no easy reversal.
The only person who can correct it is the responding officer who wrote the report. And so you have to know when the officer is going to be back in on his shift. You got to find him. You got to track him down. You got to get him on the phone and go up there and see him. And then whatever mood that the officer is in, or however you viewed it, may not be how the police officer viewed it. So, in short answer, yes, they can be amended. Is it hard as hell to get them amended? 9 times out of 10, yes. And it depends on the police department too. So, some
how much
police
time you got to
departments
wait sitting up there
Right.
making sure they do
are, right? Some police departments are great. Some police departments not so great.
it?
So Mike, when did you start practicing law?
So I have been practicing law. This is my 4th year. Before that, I was actually a professor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, man.
Goddamn, Professor Mike.
Yeah, man. I was
You got Professor Mike or Professor Bell?
well, they used to call me Mr. Bill. That was so I have
Mr. Bell.
I got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I have a law degree, and I have a doctorate in education. So at one point in time, I was going to teach. Like I wanted to teach. I wanted to be a principal because my dad was a principal. And so
That's all right, man.
right. So it was like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? So I ended up teaching. I taught college. I taught at Brown Mackey. I taught at Trenton State down in Montgomery.
You taught at Brown Mackey.
Oh yeah, man. Brown Mackey,
Man,
one
Brown-
course a month. Shout out to
I
all
didn't
my
say
folks that
Brown, I
went
didn't say
to
Brown
Brown
Mackey,
Mackey,
eh?
man.
Said
Hey,
that-
I was up there from when they opened till they closed.
Yeah, they got them for the every 50
Brown
cent.
Mackey must been all right.
Went to school 6 years and got them for every 50 cent an hour. Brown Mackey been bullshit, bro, man.
So your dad was a principal at the school you went
Yes,
to,
man.
bro?
No.
At the school you went to?
He would not let me go to.
Oh, okay.
he
I
would
was
not-
going to say, why?
He would not let me go to the same. So my dad he was the assistant. He started teaching. He graduated from Miles in 1961. Pledged Kappa Alpha Psi, Yo to the Noops, 1960.
Hey, yo, baby, yo.
I knew he was gonna say. I knew.
What's up? Yo, baby, yo, man.
He was gonna do
You know, yo, baby.
He started teaching in 1964 with Birmingham Public Schools at Hudson Elementary School in Collegeville. He was born and raised in Collegeville and started teaching at Hudson. And then he went on to Oliver Elementary School
Teaching his
became
friends'
principal. And then he retired at MacArthur in Norwood right behind Carrollville.
Yeah, you got to really be passionate about teaching to raise everybody else's children. Cause that's what you know.
Out your
And that's
hood.
exactly
For
what
real.
that's exactly
That's
what
tough.
he was extremely passionate. He passed in
That's what we need, though.
2016. But I mean, as far as a man who really cared about children, you know, other people's kids. I mean,
Exactly.
this is a man who would go to the house. If they, you know, kids weren't showing up, he going to the house, figure out, hey, why
Check
your
it out.
kids ain't in school? You know,
You gotta be pretty accountable.
if kids didn't have something to eat, he made sure that the kids had something to eat. If the mamas needed money, he made sure that they had some money.
You want to make sure
You gotta be
everybody
pretty
had that
accountable when you really know these people.
money. What you talking about, man? You want to make sure you had that money, huh?
Had the money. Wait a minute.
You sure love your school, huh?
They hard.
Goddamn.
I'm not supposed to be laughing at that.
They hard.
That does not happen, man.
So you said you need some bread and you want a little meat, huh? Yeah. All right, let me bring that
Hey,
meat,
don't
brother.
you remember when Joe Clark in the movie? Joe Clark went to old girl house.
Which one?
No, Kanisha.
Yeah, the girl mama.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. But I also remember when Forrest Gump, that dude, when she wanted to put Forrest Gump in that school, he was the principal too. Wasn't he a principal?
Oh, bad.
That was black versus white.
Yeah,
black,
suspenders too,
black
right?
male principals have upstanding character.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're great guys. Dropping that meat off.
That took a lot of accountability though to do that job right there in your hood.
Yeah, man.
Parents know you, and like I said, you know them.
Man, it's crazy because you know listening to
Like I said, we
the
need
stories.
that for real.
Like all of my family went to Parker and went to Carver. So you used to like my family, like most of my family, my grandma and granddaddy had 11 children,
That's a lot of children.
and the oldest son was born in like 1934.
Mm.
So you talking about all of them went to
Yeah.
Parker, and you used to talk about walking from Collegeville to Smithfield every day with no shoes on. Nah, child can do that today. Number one, you got everybody out here complaining about being politically correct, child abuse, all of this stuff. But man, you had children back then who wanted to learn.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I'm not saying it's right, but I think the times was different. It was like, if you look at history, black people did the most strides when they was against the wall. And it's unfortunate to say that because, like, even with the civil rights movement, I was talking to some older guys, and they were like, hey, all the most scary-ass niggas went with that shit. They were just scared.
Yeah.
And he was like, basically, you still had something like, man, I'm going to go to work. But they was almost forced because there was so many people in the same situation that they almost had to fight. You see a lot of
And their
them.
children was out there.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Robert always told us. I'm gonna shout out Robert Walker. He said, hey, the only young folks out there, teens and early 20s, people that didn't have to be at work or, you know, they took off from school and walked down there and protested and stuff, you know.
Man, it was, you know, you don't have that level of commitment anymore. Not like they did back then, but you know, they had something
Yeah,
they
Princeton
were
a little different.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Hey, but could you imagine, like in Dynamite Hill and in certain parts of Collegeville, you waking up in the middle of the night and you just heard a bomb go off? Man, you was
Wow.
nah,
As a child.
man, that's
Wow.
crazy.
Oh, no, hey, you scared as shit. You ain't
Right.
you do. A bomb going off.
And then, but considering you mentioned that about, you know, about them bombs, that kind of brought to light to a lot of people that got killed and hung and all that. Do you know of any attorney friends that you know, or any attorneys at all, that's going back to pursue them cases legally? Because murder don't never expire, right?
Right.
Because I know, like the way they did Bob Cherry, they was trying their best to let him off, but he should have been in prison a long time ago. It's like they waited till he got old enough or would have been dead before they actually did something.
One of Doug Jones, when he was the attorney, the U.S. attorney here, like Bob Cherry and all of those, the two guys who they convicted, and he was one of those attorneys, and he was, of course, white, who went back to unearth those tragedies to make sure that those people were prosecuted. Yeah, you don't see as much of that today as you did in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Yeah,
we're a little
when they
bit
went down
more
on the Montgomery.
right. We're a little bit more far removed. But you know, a lot of those people now are dead and gone. But I think there are still some people out there who are going to move forward. You have district attorneys
One of them vote.
and U.S. attorneys
Mm-hmm.
who are still going forward with trying to prosecute some of these people who are still alive.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's no statute of limitations on murder. And no matter, even if you're 99 years old, if you were responsible for that stuff, you need to pay for it. Before
Yeah.
you meet Jamaica, you need to pay for it here.
Yeah, because I
Then pay
think,
for it then.
cause like that brings my mind back to the case with Emmett Till.
Mm-hmm.
That woman supposed to went to prison. I don't care if she was 128 and couldn't even stand her own
I still ain't
legs.
watched that, bro. I gotta catch that.
Because she admitted. She admitted, hey, yeah, man, I pretty much lied.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how the jurisdiction say, nah, man, you got to go. Which
So
I
they
don't-
showed that on this part. They showed this on the movie.
No, it was before the movie.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, that woman, she came out and basically admitted, yeah, it was all a lie.
Okay.
So to me,
It's crazy.
she should have got some time. I don't care how old she was, because they do it to everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like
They killed him.
it brings it home today. I never forget. I cannot remember the dude's name, but when I was in college, there was a guy who was, I think, somewhere in Georgia. He was a star football player. He was dating a white girl, and the dad came home, called him in the bed, and she immediately says, "He raped me." And the girl, like, this boy went to jail, I think, for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, he out now.
Right, and she
remember
admitted that she lied about it.
Would that fall up under personal injury? And what could have been done there? Because to me, I think that should have been like, what I was saying, the state pick up the case.
Mhm.
That should have been like, okay. So basically, you handled prosecution.
Right.
You what's the other word that they say? You basically missed. No,
Yeah,
she
I mean,
should.
it's all kind of false testimony because she would 9 times out of 10 have
Right.
had to testify at trial
That's
as the
what they
victim. So, you know, I would think that the state would have called her as a witness to testify that he raped her.
That's a
You
hard
know,
case.
so in that case, you would have perjury
Yeah, exactly.
for lying.
That's the
under
word
oath.
I was looking for.
They took
Yeah,
the word
so-
out of the mouth.
So it wouldn't necessarily fall under personal injury, but a person who has been wronged like that can bring a civil action against the person who wronged them, and they could bring a claim against the state that prosecuted them and incarcerated them. And you're seeing a lot of that in other states, like the 4 or 5 young men who got incarcerated
In New
up
York.
in New York,
Mhm.
and then some other states but some states have funds that they have set up for wrongfully convicted people, but most states, Alabama included, have not set up those funds to pay people who have been wrongfully convicted.
Well, first of all, we got a governor that's shooting a 38 on primetime TV
Yeah.
and a damn
Trying to get a
gubernatorial race. Yeah, Pa, I'll shoot the shit out of him. I mean,
Can't step with a big stepper.
that's man. But I
Yeah.
think that when a case like that, because I read about a case one time, I'm an avid reader as well. It's a case man read about in Florida.
You know they don't think we can read.
Yeah, I look at most of the pictures, but I can read a little bit. Guy in Florida, right? When he was in his, I want to say his early 20s, they accused him of rape and murder of a young Caucasian boy, right? So everybody like, hey, well, yeah, we was that word, woo, woo. But they just was hell bent on sending him. That man did 35 years. 35, man. And they finally, like when they came up with DNA, like in the 80s and all that, they would never want to admit it in court. Then finally, years and years later, they finally admitted it, showed it wasn't him, let him out. They gave him some money, but I want to say it was like $50,000 a year. But it was capped off at $2 million or something. But it was a cap. But I'm like, no, it shouldn't have been no cap. Because I feel they should carry him around like a baby. If you want to go somewhere, you know, you pick up a baby and have your arm up on their duke. They should have held that nigga like that. When he got through eating, burped them, no taxes.
Shouldn't have to do nothing else.
Nothing. It shouldn't be nothing. Like, I don't think it should be a cap on that right there. Now, if he did like a night or something, now that's something different. You still owe him a tank of gas.
35
But 35 years, it shouldn't be his rest
I
of his
should have
life.
an unlimited card.
Everything.
Yeah.
I'm talking about whatever I want to eat, cookies, snacks.
Well, you got to think about it. The people who are making the laws, number one, don't look like us, and number two, the people who are affected by these injustices don't look like the people who are making the laws. So if it were people who look like us who were empowered to make the laws, of course things would be different. But because we are the minority and we don't have the voice, you know, it's still an unfair system. Like I told you before, justice is totally political. No way you can get around.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm glad you said that. You said this, and I'm going to play devil's advocate at least about 5 minutes. Now, you were saying that if the people end up making the laws don't look like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, hypothetically, if it was people that look like us, do you think they would carry on the same traditions? And the reason why I say that is because when you think about around America, a lot of cities where we don't have black mayors and black politicians, city council and all that, they follow the same thing. Most of them don't go in there to change the law. They go in there to uphold what's already been there. You just got a different face behind it.
So what happens, from what I see, is that you have a system, and no matter how hard you have the person who, I'm going to go in and be the outsider, I'm going to go in and change the system. Man, when you get lobbying money involved, you get campaign money involved, you got a job that you don't have to answer to nobody. You're supposed to answer to the voters, but you don't.
Exactly. You're answering to that.
You become a part of the system.
Pretty
So
much.
even though you campaign on, I'm finna go in and change the system, I'm finna be an outsider. Once the paycheck comes through, once the campaign money comes through, and once now you got all the book deals, you got all this other stuff that comes with being in office, all of what you campaigned on changes.
But see, to me, that's a travesty.
That's why we gotta hold people accountable, especially in this city.
But see,
which we don't.
but the thing is though, Mike, first of all, I just be one of those guys to cut all the malarkey. Because when I really think about it, Birmingham has had a black mayor since '79.
Mm-hmm.
That's 43 years to current. Now, I'm not going to point no finger at either of them, but I'm going to put the blame on all of them. Because when you think about from 1979 to 2022, what significant change have you seen for the majority of the population? That's one. And two, I think about an article that I seen online, and I'm going to share it with you, where it was saying that the stagnant growth of Birmingham is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about that, I'm just looking at 79 on up. Now, I ain't saying that the people from 79 on down ain't got nothing to do with it, but 43 years is an awful lot of years to be hollering about, man, that nigga in 68 did this. It's like, that's
a turn something about that.
Yeah, you been in there for 43 years, man.
The stagnant growth of Birmingham is intentional.
Yes.
It's intentional because of outside influences. What I mean by outside influences, over the mountain cities, which are majority white cities, who want to keep Birmingham as a small, sleepy, mid-sized southern city with no progress. So
they doing a great job.
The jobs that we traditionally have, whether it's in banking, whether it's in law, whether it's traditional, these are white educated jobs, or we keep the small manufacturing jobs, or the small warehouse jobs, or the small factory jobs that the working class white does, or the working class black does. Now, if it's something, man, outside of call centers, what do we have in Birmingham? For the person who is not a factory worker, for the person who's not a warehouse worker, nothing.
Bojangles.
Median income $40,000.
They got new Bojangles over there. No,
right. So when you talk about moving a city forward, number one, the only way that you can move a city forward, number one, you have to increase funding for education. You have to make the education systems that you offer better, attractive for people to move into the city. Number two, you have to bring jobs. And it's not bringing 20 jobs. Oh, we got a new company that's coming to bring 40 jobs.
And they brought 32 of them with them.
You got a city of 200,000 people in a metro area of over 1 million people. What kind of job or economic growth is 40 jobs going to do? The most jobs that have come recently are from the offshoot of Shipped, which is landing, which most of those people, a lot of those jobs came from California, people who are relocating to California. So even if they brought 200 jobs, 200 is not enough to sustain growth when you have other cities, and we're not gonna mention the one to our east, but if you got cities like Nashville, you got cities like Charlotte, you got cities like Tampa, Chattanooga, Jacksonville, Florida, that are bringing in headquarters.
Yeah.
Headquarters. You got you're in a state where you got the Kia plant, you got the Hyundai plant, you got the Honda plant, the Mercedes plant, the Toyota plant, and none of them are in Birmingham.
But see, I think it's a lot of, well, I mean, of course, we can talk about this all night, but I just wanted to touch on it, man, because Birmingham, I think, like you said, I think the investments that's made are intentional from outside influence, and I think they want to keep it the same, and they know some of the decisions that are being made is going to affect it for 20, 30 years.
We are in the last decade of black dominance in the city center. What I mean by that is this is the last 10 years that black people will control city politics in the city of Birmingham.
So why you say that? Because for some that, you know, that ain't really into politics but heard you say that, what do you mean by that? Why do you say that?
What I mean by that is, if you look at the rate of growth in the city or movement into the city, it is by our white counterparts who are moving into areas such as Ensley, Norwood, Avondale, Woodlawn, and Eastlake, and downtown. Now, our African American are moving to the suburbs,
which turn them to
So-
non-voters.
right? So you're going to Calera, Pelham, Alabaster in search of
Better
what we call
schools.
better schools, affordable housing, while our white counterparts can afford to pay $2,000 and $3,000 to live in a studio apartment downtown, are moving into downtown, are getting the resources to renovate houses in Norwood and Ensley. Like I told you before, a $300,000 house in Woodlawn is not meant to be a $300,000 house for the black family that currently lives in Woodlawn.
They don't swap them out.
So this is what we call this is classic gentrification, where you displace the current residents who cannot afford to remain in the area that now is that's now outpricing them. Birmingham is on the same trajectory. No matter what politician says the lies that tell you that it's not happening, Birmingham is on the same trajectory as Nashville, Tennessee. If you go to Nashville, count on your hands how many black people you see in the city center of Nashville. You can count on one hand.
I think Birmingham, let me see, I'm 42. I think you might see some real growth in about 50 years. And the reason why I say that is because the investments that's been made now are going to last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, put it like this, the new Lawson over there downtown, the new stadium, they ain't going to tear that shit down no time soon.
No.
Ain't nobody talking about putting up no dome.
No.
Ain't nobody talking about doing no real live growth, because the shit that you bought is still new. Like that bridge, they $500 million, maybe a couple dollars more to add one lane. Like shit like that, 65. You got 4 lanes in the Calera area, but when you start toward the city center, you got 3 lanes. You got to blow up half the mountain to add another one. So to me, for what we see, it's not built for growth, even with the Northern Belt line.
Right.
You know, they stopped that project. Now they talking about starting it back up because of the infrastructure bill. I think they talking about $369 million.
If you want to make a whole bunch of money, go buy land on the Northern Belt line. Right now, what a lot of people don't understand, the number one landowner in Jefferson County is U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel owns just about all of the land on the Northern Belt line. U.S. Steel is making a killing. When that interstate eventually materializes, U.S. Steel will have made probably $1 billion off of the amount of land that U.S. Steel owns in northern Jefferson County.
It'll be in the truck.
So if you can own a tract of land and hold it for 30 or 40 years, if you're 20 or 30 years old or 40, or pass it down to your kids, the Northern Belt line is eventually going to materialize.
Yeah,
it's like
about 50
459.
years.
So, it's just one of those things. It's like Birmingham is on a trajectory of
What you been saying all
we
over the
don't.
South.
It's the same thing. It's like we get so many promises that are unfulfilled, and every election cycle is the same thing. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen for the black people. This is gonna happen for the people who actually live in Birmingham. Then if you drive around, it's like nothing has changed. It's still the same. You got certain downtown North Birmingham looks exactly how it did when I was in elementary school. Bro.
Yeah, but
It's a
see,
little refacing here and now, but it ain't. When you do the numbers, I ain't no hating. When you do the numbers, ain't much growth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A little bit of renovation and refacing. You know?
yeah, paint.
Them just facts. You know what I'm saying? You know, read up if
But see, that's
got a problem with it.
that's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
It's facts.
Yeah.
And what makes
They
me as a voter and as a resident of the city of Birmingham, what makes me upset with any politician is that when you question facts, number one, you're an elected official. That means that you are accountable to the people who elected you and the people who live in your city, right? So to get upset or to get defensive when people question facts is an issue for me.
Oh man, I'm glad you said that.
and with the common public too, you'll be surprised how much it's a barbershop, so we have these conversations more than just on this podcast. And you'll be surprised how the common people don't. They say don't discuss politics and religion on jobs and different places and stuff like that, but you kind of get to seeing why, you know what I'm saying, after you live so long, because it's like they don't want you coming together on one train of thought on what's right. You know what I'm saying? Not that everybody going to have the same thought process, but guess what?
Be good to hear though.
You got enough people saying the same thing and coaching the ones that's not paying attention up on what's going on.
Right.
And guess what? At some point in time, it might just pass around town that something ain't right, or we may need to make an uproar about this or that. But guess what? We've been taught to keep quiet about stuff.
Right.
So people rather, hush, I'm gonna go down there and vote the way I want to vote. I ain't read nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't know
but or don't understand what they read or understand what's going on. This ain't to knock anybody. It just means we should conversate and talk about politics and legalities more. What's the sense of not talking about it? We all got to live in the same city together. This one house we got to live in.
Right.
Why we don't supposed to talk about what's wrong and what's right with it?
Yeah, but see,
that's crazy.
People done started to put politicians on a platform or a pedestal opposed to looking at them that, man, these folks at work. Because I remember, and not just the mayor and the people here, just all over, I done heard people say, well, they only been in there a year, man. They had to clean them. I said, okay, well, you go get a job, and you work something for 6 months and ain't done shit.
Exactly.
And watch what happened to you. And I was like, I think they should be way more transparent, and all them excuses is dead.
Well, I ain't done what you said you were going to do.
Because honestly, they could eat, if it was me, because one thing about it, see, people don't know, as a comedic narrator, people think comedians
Say
don't
that
have.
again. If you go to work and don't do what
You don't do the fuck you supposed to do. Your ass is dead, man. They finna get rid of you.
You get what? You get escorted.
Yeah,
out the
you
door,
finna
right?
go.
They gonna come. Security.
They'll sit around
They
2-3
gonna have a
years
little
and do
box.
it.
They gonna have a little box
Already packed.
with the two handles on the
Or
side.
better yet, they may tell you, hey, we'll bring that shit to
They
you.
may have your key changed
Look,
out.
everybody gonna be on the computer.
And they gonna say in that kid part, most of them gonna know. Damn, they gonna get rid of that today.
Man,
Look
been
right.
gone, man.
Bottom line, we should be talking about politics. I don't give a damn where we at. Now you can't get fired by arguing with nobody about nothing crazy if y'all can't just have a decent conversation about it and agree to disagree, or at least come to some type of conclusion that or solution that everybody can leave with and go with.
Right.
But all this stuff about we shouldn't talk about it or don't publicly talk about this, man, that's the craziest fooling I ever heard in my damn life.
That's part of a divide and conquer too.
Age-old tradition and stupid talk.
Because even when they be talking about Republican and Democrat, I don't agree with either one, but I heard stuff in all of them that I agree with. Like I remember when Trump was around, even though I think the stuff he did was divisive, but it was more so marketing. I don't think he was a racist. I think he was more so of an opportunist. Because real racist is like, I can't think of that dude name, the head of the Klan. You ain't never seen him with no niggas. He ain't play with them. He ain't go no games with them.
He ain't take no picture with
He
him.
ain't take no picture with him. All that did my partner, Trump did. Hung with him and all. And I'm not saying that he ain't got his ways, but I think it was more so marketing and promotion for him. And I think that he utilized what he did and used people's weaknesses and used against them. But all the shit he said wasn't wrong.
Trump did exactly what he did the classic George Wallace. George Wallace, if you go back through history, but a lot of people don't realize that George Wallace was not a racist. George Wallace was a
opportunist.
He was an opportunist, and he originally was an African American sympathizer. But because of his policies and politics, people, when he first ran for governor, he got defeated. He turned around in the next election and became the biggest racist and segregationist ever. The same thing that Trump did was,
people forget.
This is my voter base right here. Let me go all in on this.
Yeah, what they want.
Let me give them the rhetoric that they want to hear. Number one, Trump did not think he was going to get elected. And number two, when he did get elected, he was like, well, I can run with this because it's going to be good for my business.
Yeah, it was marketing. Because I think, honestly, he wanted to be like, shit, I ran for president. Because they take your stock up too. But when you go to get touching the heartstrings of folk, you get them on your side.
Man, when they told Trump he won, he was looking like, y'all joking, right?
It ain't no different than people that look like us telling us, they gonna do all these wonderful things where we stay at, and then they get in there and there's a reverse, and everybody say, well, they got this and that to do. They the president of everybody and all of those stuff there. They the mayor or the governor for everybody. Right.
But see, now Sam, it's funny you brought that up, man, because
which they are.
I feel the same way.
Do what you say.
That wasn't you. The interview with Joe Biden when they asked him about the reparations.
Okay.
And oh man, Joe Biden looked like he got mad at him, almost like, you ask me some shit like that. That's the tone he had, what? I give it if y'all get an Indian song too or the Native American song, but I'm like, when everybody else get theirs, they were like, hey, make sure you get them black folks something too. Nah, man, I think that right now we're in a time in history that we shouldn't accept this stuff, because some people be like, well, just go ahead and take what he give them. No, I think we actually stood as a unit. I don't think a lot of this shit would fly.
Well,
I don't think it would.
Well, number one, that's what you just said. You said stand as a unit. We can't stand as a unit.
Because that money divide folks up, man. Money is a blessing, but it's a curse if it's in the wrong hands too.
When Ronald Reagan dropped crack in the black community, that was it. That was it. When crack hit Harlem.
Well, you trying to stay in here till 11 o'clock at night? We finna go. When you going all the way back to the Reaganomics, but you're right, man. Many fronts this thing got to be fought on. I mean, you need people fail to realize, they talk about the protesters, but you're gonna need protesters. You're gonna need guys like yourself that can go in there and put that envelope across the table. That's right. Legal advisors.
You can't take no slaps either.
You're gonna need people with some money that make sure folks getting out of jail that matter. Yeah. This thing got to be fought on many fronts when you're talking about true change, but
And you had that hard head cud that don't give a damn about none of it. I slapped that man car. You need them too.
Well, one of the issues is that everybody want to be seen, but nobody want to do no work.
Yeah. But that's what it in turn. It's almost like the movements that we have now, they turn into a mockery. Because just like you and Sam was stating earlier, man, we were saying that now politicians look at it like, how dare you ask me about you getting your street paid? What the fuck wrong with you? I get, nigga, this your job. Yeah. To me, back to what I was about to say earlier, I remember when Larry Lightfoot got in office, the mayor was making $79,000 a year. When Larry got in there, he up to the 142, 143, somewhere up in there. So you almost got double. That's unheard of. To me, it should be way more pressure than some of the bullshit that they focus on. Like, to me, if I was the mayor, man, I'd ride around all day burning one. And when I say burning one, incense, because, the sage, kind of keeps bad spirits away. And you ride and you see. And you can have your assistant, man, document. Because the city workers, what people don't realize, they only work when they order. If you sit down, let's just say the mayor Mama Street or whatever was told real bad, and she said something about it, you can say, hey, K1, look, I need a crew out there. But, man, get a crew out there and go. Man. You can do that. You got executive power to do a lot of this stuff. So the more and more I learn, it just let me know that their ass don't want to do it.
I definitely.
It's just simple as that.
I
man.
appreciate everybody that works for the city of Birmingham that does
Oh, they-
city services, but
Yeah, most
I
of
just
them
want I just want my trash picked up on on the days that it's supposed to be picked up. That's all.
What side of town you on?
I mean, I'm on the east side.
What
But
I'm saying, no, I'm saying like what about? So we can get this shit handled, Mike. What side?
Hey, Roebuck.
Oh no, food robot.
Exactly.
Man. I stay at East
I
Lake.
can-
I stay at East
look.
Lake Estates. They come on time over there.
Look, hopefully one day. I mean, look, it's like I think my trash pickup is Thursday. It's Wednesday for recycle, and Thursday.
Oh, y'all niggas got recycling.
Yeah, we got the
we got
recycling.
that.
We got the recycling pilot. They won't even pick up the recycle bin on the recycle day. It'll sit out there for 4 days, and then it's like, oh, you finally came and picked it up. On Thursday, which is the trash day, they don't pick that up until probably Saturday when somebody calls like, hey, you can pick up the trash.
So
It's
they
like
come with us,
we
so
can't
they-
even get the trash picked up on the right
so they
day.
hit y'all on Mondays and Thursdays.
No, on Wednesday and Thursday. To recycle.
Okay, so y'all get trash day once a week.
Right,
'Cause
which
see-
is the new pilot program, which everybody in the city is gonna be on.
See,
You only
that's
gonna
something
have
else. See, 'cause
you
I-
only gonna have recycle on one day, and you gonna have trash pickup on one day.
Oh really?
Didn't
Now see,
change.
that's a new one.
The
'cause
city
I-
gives you little bins, which that's what they gave us. We got the blue bin, which is recycle, and the green bin, which is trash.
Mm.
But it would work if they actually came and picked up the trash.
But see, I think too, man, a lot of time, I'm just going to base this off Birmingham. I just don't think the people who get in office really give a damn about the city for real. I think they like the city, but I don't think they just like, hey, man, I really want to see a real change here. I think most people that run for mayor in Birmingham in politics, they be put up to that shit. Because if you put up to something, you don't have the same desire to see things grow or shift than somebody who actually, that actually desire, like, bro, I want to be this because I'm tired of this looking this way. Because I don't think people realize how much power they got. Like, for an example, the city of Birmingham, and you probably know this figure too. The city budget like $450 a year, $450 million a year, right? So that's for everything, right? The pandemic money, they got 148.6 at one time. So you got a third of your budget free money. What's happening? What we looking at? We gonna spend it all on that weak ass word game? So a 10-day event where they got tug of war, mattress flipping, speed walking, who can spit the furthest and shit like that. Now, no knock on, I stay here too, but we also know how Birmingham is.
It's
And all them folks ain't coming from over there from Ukraine. They got shit to do over there.
I actually want to see.
The speed walk.
It was a good. The World Games is a good idea. It sounds good. I just want to see once it happens, is it with the hype, what it's billed to be?
Have you seen the shit they gonna be playing, Mike?
Itch a sketch.
Itch a sketch, bowling. Yeah.
Flag football.
They got now
Yeah,
flag football might be alright. They do got
Might
pencil
bring a
pop
few
too.
folks out.
They got pencil pop. Straight up, you gotta have a number two pencil.
Right,
Roman Greco
number 2.
wrestling,
The one you used to take the SAT.
That right.
sumo wrestling, all that stuff. Though.
And if you chop, you disqualified.
Man, they got thumb wars.
So, and basically what I'm saying is, I think that now, because I love my city just like everybody in this room do, but I do feel like, and the reason why I'm being sarcastic on this, because I can, and I do live in Birmingham, but I think that they look at like they can give us anything. That's how I feel. I could be wrong, but it's almost like, get them nigga the word game, man. They'll be happy about
Yeah,
that
ain't
shit.
certain if you coming or not. That was it.
Even with the USFL and all these semi pro teams. Now I'm not knocking them, but Sam know most of them teams come about because the startup is money in the startup, and when they get to going, boom, they move on, and we stuck with the bill.
One of the biggest issues that I see about our city is that we oftentimes seem like a city with no identity. Like
That's what it is.
Memphis has an
Other-
identity.
other
New
than-
Orleans has an identity.
Other than 16th Street bombing and racism.
Atlanta has an identity. Nashville has an identity. You got all these cities that have an identity, and it's like outside of our civil rights past, which nobody wants to embrace. It's like, what is our identity as a city? It's just like
Not nobody in our generation anyway want to embrace it.
First 48.
Not as far as the history of it and what actually happened to people, but as far as the aura almost instilling fear that stuff brings, man, they can take that on with them, man.
Right.
All that statues of dog being sick on folks. We understand what it stands for and stuff,
Right.
but that
Yeah,
ain't
it's
nothing
like-
to go out of town
it's
talking
like-
about. Yeah,
right.
you coming to our city,
Right, it's like
this where they sick dogs on niggas at.
You
We
got a
have no
bronze
identity.
dog?
It's like one
I don't
minute,
wanna hear that.
we go to Birmingham for the
Yeah.
food scene, and then the next minute it's like, yeah, it's the first 48, and then the
Yeah.
next minute it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you forgot, oh that's the civil rights place, yeah.
But I think that comes from a whole bunch of dick riding. I'm just gonna say what it is.
That's the history,
Like,
man, but it ain't got to be
It
our
ain't-
basis.
It ain't got to be
Foundation.
because see, I think Birmingham is a very unique city. Like a
It
lot of
is.
people don't know that we sit directly in the center of the South,
Mm-hmm.
which means that most places you coming through, you got to come through Birmingham. And I just think that the people in office, either they're not idealists, or they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. And like I said, if you step on some toes, hey, we'll bring them on the podcast too. But you got to be an idealist. Like, I think that, like you said about the city having an identity, let's go back to 50 years forward. Remember that? Honorable Mayor William Bell was in office. All right, they say they're doing the entertainment district, right? 50 years forward, to me, it's just me, my thinking ass, they had an opportunity to change the face on how entertainment district look. Like you just said, an identity of Birmingham. I think your entertainment district should reflect how your city is, which means that
The entertainment district,
like the entertainment district, you solicited a whole 75% of the businesses from somewhere else. You could have used that same money and solicited businesses that was already in your city. You already got the business license. You know who here. And I think that would have did a better thing for us economically to have a bunch of entrepreneurs in that than to say, let's bring some people out who's not going to spend that money back here.
right.
I don't think that's right.
They
And
said that about the major businesses. Ain't none of that founded, no headquarters.
Nah.
So at the end of the day, the dollar going outside the state line, other than people's paychecks and some little tax money.
We used
What-
to,
The thing I hate about it, like you said, the entertainment district. I was down there before they finished the Lyric Theater, in Pentheum Temple, where we rented our office space. We talked to the owner. He bought that building for $250,000. Today, as we speak, it's up for sale for $2.5 million.
oh yeah,
I actually watched the Civil Rights
10
District
times.
turn into the entertainment district. So
Well, see, it's just amazing to me because, like, to me, I just look at things different because I look at our city and what we don't have and what we do have. What we do have is a whole bunch of police officers, jails, and criminal attorneys. We got a bunch of that. But I think, like, even before the stadium got put up, when people here has discussed that, it's not because I just totally knock it. I just think something better could have been done with the money. Like, to me, with the city owning Legion Field, that's where your investment should have went. You invested in something hoping it worked. And a lot of times we're going to be stuck with a bill for some shit that we didn't even want. Like, to me, that entertainment district could have been a real entertainment district. Bowling alley, skating rink, ice skating rink, aquarium, all kind of stuff. Because there's nothing family friendly in our city.
what's crazy is
None of that.
What's crazy is that as much energy was put into resurrecting UAB football, resurrecting UAB, whatever else they destroyed, or whatever Ray Watts took out, as much energy went into
Now they
that.
blind you.
If we could put that same energy into a whole bunch of other stuff
Yeah,
in
they
our
blind.
community, man, it ain't nothing we could do but UAB football.
UAB should have had to pay for that.
When they said UAB football, when they hit ESPN, I swear to God, it's saying like everybody came from Jamaica, the Bahamas. Oh no, you can't get rid of UAB football. Now let them say they fixing to
get rid of
they finna
Miles.
they finna shut down Miles, or they finna shut down a couple of these elementary schools or something like that.
People.
They finna close Hayes K through 8. Man, they were like, okay. But UAB football was dead.
Yeah.
And everybody and their mama gave the shirts off their back to make sure UAB
They put them
football.
boys on TV crying over.
I mean, the stuff that UAB did not need the city's money. UAB did not need donations. UAB is a part of the University of Alabama system, which is one of the richest education systems in the country.
Build your stadium.
Right. So UAB needed the city of Birmingham to build them a stadium. I just don't understand why.
They just found somebody who's with that bullshit.
UAB is the largest employer in the state of Alabama, but they needed the city of Birmingham.
But they were $3 million short a year. That's why they got Birmingham to get $3 million for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
2 years prior, board of directors right down there in Tuscaloosa, headed by Paul Bell Jr., the third, junior, whoever he is, just denied them building them stadium.
Well, I'm trying to figure. I guess
based upon ticket sales, saying basically y'all ain't producing the bread. We turn right around.
This will get me to think about it this way. UAB basically held a gun to the city of Birmingham's head. Like, what is UAB gonna do? Get up and walk away?
I'd have told them to shoot. Cause like I said, you can't pack them. You can't pack them all them buildings.
They finna take up all University Boulevard and just move. Yeah. So the city, we can't let UAB move to Hoover.
Like you said, they played on sympathy, man. They marched and they had parades and they put the boys on TV crying. So when that pencil got pushed, when our mayor first hit the office and said, "Hey, we building the stadium,"
can we get that same energy?
It was all basically emotional at that point, cause we just didn't want that football team to go nowhere or whoever did.
But like you said,
I love sports.
What was it going?
I love sports.
How many UAB football games you been
to? I've been to a few now. You might be asking the wrong one, cause I do attend.
How many?
I can't count. More than I can count.
Me?
Yeah.
I be at work.
More than I didn't go to any of this past year.
I was at work, Mike.
I didn't go to any of this past year.
If I was at work, I would have went.
But I was going to the game before they canceled the team, and you know what I'm saying.
See, this one out of 10.
Yeah, so. But I'm with you, cause when I was at the game, I seen the same thing the board of trustees seen down in Alabama. How y'all gonna pay for this? What they building down here? But if y'all remember, when they first started out, UAB's name was not mentioned along with that.
Did you hear a lot of the criticism from UAB's fan base was not the blacks, but a lot of the fan base said that they did not want to continue to go to Smithfield and play
exactly
at Legion Field.
But you won't go to North Birmingham. What's the difference?
But even with that though,
it's shiny and it's
but even with that though,
buy a couple new restaurants.
Y'all felt pretty small, man. If Birmingham would have invested $3 million a year for 10 years in Legion Field, what would it have been?
And this is not hating.
It is yours. Questions. Yeah, and this stuff is all about.
This is what we should do as the public.
I just want to see the Glock that UAB pulled out.
Man, they ain't have now.
I'd have looked them in their face and said,
I just want to see.
Because get what? You ain't going to move. You ain't going to move them 4 years I'm in office. You ain't going to move in 8. You ain't going to move in 30. You not finna pack. That shit don't come loose like Lego blocks and just move the bus.
I have never seen the city of Birmingham jump to do anything.
You know what they call it? WL Michael.
But anybody
leadership.
Anybody that think this hate being spewed, I challenge them to go do your research on public-private partnership and look at the provisions and stuff that's going back and forth across that table and the things that's being offered versus the things that's being turned down. I mean, it's basically an ongoing. What I'm saying is not a debate, but a negotiation between the public and these private people until both sides get what they want out of it.
So look at it this way.
Do your own work on it.
The Atlanta Braves moved to Cobb County.
Mm-hmm.
You think that hurt anybody?
Oh
no.
No, they moved.
And what did Cassine Reed at the time, who was the then mayor, do? Nothing. He said, "I'll see y'all in Cobb County."
Ain't no doubt. Not Georgia State enough.
I'm not finna jump.
No.
Just because you threaten to do whatever you gonna do.
Exactly.
Yep, but see, that's why I said it's weak leadership in Birmingham all the way through. Now, it ain't everybody, but it's too many of them. That's all it is, man, because somebody with real passion, even if I didn't know what to do, Mike, I would have said, I tell you what, let me talk to my councilman and we'll get back with you. Because I know a mayor don't know everything, but you got the power to have everybody around you for everything you need. That's why I say that shit was just weak leadership, because now with an open air stadium, I'm gonna tell y'all this interesting fact people don't know too. If we wanted to bring a concert to that stadium, it will probably cost more to have it in an open air stadium than what it would be to enclose. Because if it rained out, the insurance company got to pay. So whoever made that decision to say, you know what, we got Lawson, we got Legion, you got Sanford, Birmingham Southern, let's put another open air stadium. That was the dumbest shit ever, man. Oh man,
fell apart.
It's like it didn't make sense, man. I think when one person made thought about putting a dome out there by the dog track, to me and what I see, that would have been great because that whole area got 3 lanes and all that shit was set up perfect for it. That would have been a whole different world.
I mean, you know, I've always said to myself is what I would like to see is if Birmingham is going to have an entertainment district, there's not much entertainment in the entertainment district. I would say, I mean, restaurants ain't much entertainment. You ain't got people walking down the street getting drunk. I mean, you know, I thought it was gonna be like Bourbon Street, but you know, it's still
you gonna mind.
But if it's the entertainment district, now Top Golf was a great idea. If it was me, I would. I mean, at some point, you got the lottery in Mississippi. You got Georgia constantly talking about legalizing casinos. Why will, even if we don't get a lottery, at least you got Victory Land, you got Green Track, you got
all these places everybody going.
All of these little casinos. Why will not Birmingham go to the state legislature and lobby to actually build a real casino complex in downtown Birmingham to complement this so-called entertainment district that doesn't have much entertainment?
No, be too much like Mike.
Do you know how many jobs a casino and you got 2 hotels? If you put 2 nice casinos in downtown Birmingham with people coming all across the southeast to come to these casinos, people like to gamble. Casinos produce jobs, real high-paying jobs.
And they fund educations.
Yes.
But you remember they tried to bring that one to Alabama, they said it was going to the general fund. I said, for hell, man.
If you won't put your own children through college, put somebody through college if the politics right on.
Yep.
Like Benny said, the last time they brought it up, they wouldn't even earmark nothing to achieve for education.
That's why
if y'all gonna do it or not, y'all ain't gonna do it. Take it on then.
Every year. Yeah. They just died again. Every year. Oh, we're gonna talk about lottery this year. It died. We're going to talk about a lottery this year. It died. At what point are we going to start talking about a lottery? At what point is Birmingham going to take his own future out of the hands of the Alabama state legislature?
You know what they said? They was talking about the most corrupt politicians in each state, and Alabama was in the top. Mm-hmm. Most of your southern states is in the top.
The guy who wrote the Alabama ethics law was the Speaker of the House, who gets indicted on charges for ethics violations on what he wrote. It's Alabama. He wrote the book.
Like I said, the whole South, because ain't no different in Georgia. You know, I'm a dual state citizen there. Same thing. They going to jail left and right over there, too. Especially about that pandemic money. That pandemic money turning their ass up, boy. All across this joker. But you know, the politics was crooked way before then, you know.
Yeah.
But now, state to state, they got their own gripes and complaints.
But now that's why I don't be mad at people who choose to do the due diligence research and send ad to prison.
That's right.
Because it's like people hold them folks so near and they're like, oh, they're the mayor, they're the attorney, they're the. But it's like, no. It's to me, especially when they black, because it's like, bro, you know what's going on.
That's right.
And you gonna go in there and play? Yeah. All right, send ad to prison.
Right now.
And you know what's crazy is that, you know, all of this is when I graduated from high school, man, I had the opportunity to go all over the country. But I always said, man, I want to stay in Birmingham because there's so much potential. There's so much potential in this city, but you got the younger generation who doesn't even see the potential. I'm like, man, the first thing I want to do is get up out of here. There's nothing for me in Birmingham. What do you do to combat that when you got every generation that comes along is like, man, the first thing I'm going to do when I graduate is get the hell out of Birmingham.
But the sad part is, though, it's like traveling from city to city, which I often do, the air's different. Mm-hmm. When you go to
Trying to get away from that 40,000 median income.
for real, man. I was in Houston this past weekend, man, and it was amazing. And I'm not bragging on any other city, but I ain't stupid. I understand the economics when going to different cities, and it's a difference. Because when people making more money, they tend to spend more. It's easier to support your own, but when you talking about the money low, the crime is high.
Exactly.
You tearing up them economics, man.
And you know what's crazy is it's like, man, if people did research, the cities that they run into, that we are running to in the suburbs, if you read the history of how some of these cities were incorporated and why they were incorporated, why they became cities,
you finna keep feeling.
They seceded for the most devilish reasons you think of.
You wouldn't be running to Hoover. And it's not a knock on anybody who lives in Hoover.
Hoover started with 4 acres.
Man.
I read that.
Same way Buckhead trying to secede now from the city of Atlanta. They don't want to be associated with the crime. Right. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to pull that up, and they probably bad driving because of them crime numbers.
Yeah, crime is just crime is code word for I don't want to be associated with you Negroes. Yeah. We fixing to go ahead and move and create our own. We tired of seeing y'all now. And it's just like Hoover, for years when AL.com had them comments on, and then every time somebody gets shot in Birmingham, you go in the comments. And everybody from Hoover was like, see, this is why we don't want these niggas moving to Hoover.
Like Gardendale.
Moving to all these apartments down here in Hoover. Why would you want to go live in a place where the people don't even want you there? And the crazy part about it is rich white people are different from middle class white people. Poor white people are different from middle class white people. Poor white people and rich white people will treat you like brothers and sisters. But when you get that in between middle class white folks,
that's what the competition
them be the ones that be like on the computer.
That's what the competition is.
All that hate.
Y'all vying for the same jobs and positions.
Exactly. Poor white people know they ain't got shit. And rich white people say, no, we ain't worried about y'all. Y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. But that middle class living in Hoover and living in Pelham and Alabaster, that's sitting on the computer every time something bad happens in the city of Birmingham. Oh, see, that's why I don't live in Birmingham. You still in Birmingham.
Just on a little island that broke off a few years back. That's all.
See, that's what they do. They kill each other. Like, that's the craziness.
That's crazy.
Happens everywhere, man.
Yeah, well, Mike, I'm gonna ask you this, man, because we'll sit and talk your ass all night, man. But I am gonna ask you this before you get off. All right, on all the cases you tried in your career, what has been one of the most memorable cases?
The most memorable case has got to be the Tim Stewart versus the city of Homewood case, which is actually about 2 years ago when the young man got beat by the city of Homewood police officers. And so
I'm trying to remember.
It wasn't during the riots, was it?
No, it wasn't during the riots. It was actually after the shooting. It was a couple months after the shooting at the Galleria.
I'm talking about the Floyd riots for y'all.
Oh yeah, so yeah, after that, before that, so that was 2020, but this was in 2019.
Okay.
Right, and so in that case, we allege that the young man was physically assaulted by 2 officers for the city of Homewood. It took us almost a year to get the footage, and it's not what the footage showed, it's what the footage didn't show. And so there was about a 2-minute gap in the video that you did not know what happened. But the issue is that we had injuries. So we had physical injuries, but you got the police saying one thing and you got our client saying another thing. And so that's memorable to me because a lot of times the case hinges on the smallest, minute detail. And for us, it was not what it showed. We were successful in that case because of what it didn't show. We basically were able to paint a picture of whatever we wanted it to be. We got injuries. We got a 2-minute gap. In our view, he got his ass beat.
So, do you get any kind of recoil from some of these cases that you win? Because when you talking about fighting against municipalities and cities and different what they consider to be
We can-
prominent folks. You ever have somebody call me
Man.
like, Michael, good, hang up and shit.
Most of
come outside.
Most of everything is always like online. You got, like I said, the people sitting down in Hoover or wherever that's online in the comments like, oh, they chasing a chick. This person got injured. You know, reason is crazy because the case that we litigate now, which is the Teresa Foster versus the number one Stunners case, which is a black versus black case, in which she was, our client was shot back in 2020 in Hensley at the number one Stunners celebration, their anniversary party celebration. You have people going online. This lady is paralyzed from the waist down, cannot move, bedridden, can't work, has 3 children, has virtually no money except the little disability that she gets, and that goes to take care of her living expenses and the supplies that she needs, but she has nothing outside of that. So some days she don't even know if her light bill gonna get paid. And so you got people online who are making comments like, well, number one, how is the biker club liable? Why is she suing them? She shouldn't have been at the party anyway.
Damn.
You got, I looked at it
burner.
today, you got 40 or 50 comments that are negative, and only one person said, this poor lady, I pray to God that she gets the healing and peace that she needs. Out of all them comments,
That's crazy.
a lady, now if you, and the crazy part about it is what, put yourself on the other side of that. If it was your ass that got shot and was bedridden and couldn't walk, had 3 kids to feed, no income coming in, you would be in the same situation. You would feel the same exact way.
Yeah, that right there, man, because that's it's different. You got shot and you was all right. But shot and paralyzed, that's life changing, man.
Right. And
That's tough.
the sad part about it is that the lady had never been to Birmingham before. She came to Birmingham from Jacksonville, Florida, and got shot on her first and only trip to this city.
That's a hell of a memory.
Car.
Right.
That's a hell of a memory.
Before you slide too far, on the subject before that, when you said the guy, the Homewood police jumped on the guy, or whatever, supposedly, is it the same structure the same way in Homewood? Because I know, somebody got jumped by the Birmingham police, and they attempted to sue, and they were denied the opportunity to file a lawsuit on them by the city of Birmingham. So is that true for did he have to be allowed to be sued?
So
I mean,
it's not necessarily allowed.
was he allowed to sue?
So it's one thing that happens when
the city of Homewood.
so you have the city's suits against a municipality, suits against a county, suits against the state of Alabama. In order to sue the city, you have 6 months. You got a 6-month window in which you have time to file notice of a claim.
Okay.
If you miss that 6-month window, your suit is time barred. You can't sue them at all.
Okay.
There is a 1-year statute of limitations when it comes to a county or the state of Alabama. So if you get injured on July 31st, when it's a county or a city, state involved, you have until July 31st the next year to file a notice of claim. If you don't file a notice of claim, you lose your right to sue. The other part of it is, in order to sue a city, a county, or the state, you have to get past any kind of immunity defense that the city, the county, or the state is going to bring. Basically saying that we qualify under some kind of immunity, some kind of legal immunity that prohibits you or prevents you from suing us because of whatever this action
So you
is.
gotta go over the head.
Right. So you gotta
Okay.
use case law and whatever else interpretations of various statutes to prove
That's a mean
how
guy.
you can get past immunity. In our suit against the city of Homewood, in that case, in the
Y'all
Stewart
had to do
versus
that.
Home, we had to get past qualified immunity in order to bring suit against the police officers in the city.
So they did try to deny it off the top.
So what happened was
That's
we
gangster up.
sued.
Hey, I still
we
got the
sued
letter in the
two-
shoebox right now.
Right, we sued the 2
Well,
police
deny your
officers.
ass now.
We sued the city of Homewood, and we sued the chief of police of the city of Homewood. The suit was thrown out against the chief of police, which we already knew was going to get
Yeah, they ain't finna let them.
And we
no
almost
smear
got
like that.
the city of Homewood to be kept in the suit. But the judge, based upon immunity, threw out the suit against the city, but she allowed, we actually went through 3 or 4 judges because it was a federal case, and the case kept getting reassigned. But it was allowed to remain against the 2 police officers. So they did not meet qualified immunity.
Okay.
So the city was thrown out, and the chief of police, both of those charges against them.
Gonna get them foot sold.
Right. But we got the
That's
police
fucked
officers
up.
to remain.
That's fucked up.
And so you
Don't get them foot soldiers,
you
dog.
gotta
You ain't getting no big dog.
Right, you got to get over
what you can
these
get.
hurdles. So
And see, that's so crazy though, because it's like
Bullshit.
really they're gonna pull that in a lot of cases. No,
Yeah.
we ain't liable because I think
That's 2 I know it didn't been pulled in.
So with the officers, so y'all sued them personally, y'all sued that bond.
So it was pretty much what happens is you sue them in their capacity as police officers. So you can say it's an individual suit, but you're suing them in their official capacity. So pretty much what happens is they had professional liability insurance, which some police officers have their own liability insurance. In some situations, the city will indemnify and carry insurance for those officers. So it just depends on the city or whatever laws.
How
of the
bad they
state.
done fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
So, right. Yeah.
They might fight their ass and let them fight that shit on their own.
And that's why it's like, man, the one thing that I find about us as African Americans is that we are conditioned to be forgiving. So it's like, if something happens to you, we're taught, shake it off, don't worry about it.
Don't push it.
You're right, just keep pushing and just don't push the issue, and whatever's gonna happen, then is gonna happen. You'll be all right. But we leave, number one, we leave money on the table, and we leave our rights at the door because a lot of times we don't pursue
No.
legal remedies for wrongs that have been done.
Not for the long haul anyway.
Right.
They might crank it up and just fall off.
Let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, like we talked about when you were on the radio, or when we were on the radio. Well, like we talked about, people get shot at these clubs, people get shot at these gas stations that don't have any security, they get shot at these apartment complexes, and for us, we bury the person, we cry over them, have the funeral, get all the flowers, and then we put them in the ground. They got 5 or 6 kids left, and then now we stuck raising these kids, and we just go on about our life. But there are remedies if these places are in high crime areas. If there is no basic security to keep people safe, you can sue them. So you basically leaving all this money. You leaving all this money on the table. If somebody gets shot in this city almost every week at the type of establishment that has that liability can be imputed on.
Oh.
But we bury them and just
Just
like,
let it
Well, I think that's from a lack of knowledge though.
it is a lack of
Yeah,
knowledge.
that's why we got
It
Mike
is a
Bell
lack of
here.
knowledge.
Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 90, with the very intelligent Mike Bell, 205-666-6000. Mike, before we let you go, man, give them any information, any social media, tell them who you are, so they want to get in contact with you about any of these personal injury cases, because now people know it's more than just accidents. They can hit you up.
Exactly. Right now we are doing a big push on shooting, stabbing, sexual assault cases. So if you have anyone who has been injured in any type of case like that within the last 2 years, we would love to talk to you, your family members, your loved one, anyone who has been killed or injured in those type of accidents or situations, violence. Give us a call, 205-666-6000. That's 205-666-6000. You can follow us across all social media at Mike Bell Wins. That's at Mike Bell Wins. Or you can go to our website, MikeBellWins.com. You can download our app, which is the Mike Bell Wins app. Just put in Mike Bell Wins. You can get the app. And, I would love to sit down and personally talk to whoever has any kind of issue out there. If you don't let fear conquer you from moving forward with getting your legal remedy. So the laws of our state, the laws of this country have afforded all of us the opportunity to make sure that we are taken care of and made whole from our wrongs. But please, if you feel like you have been injured, you've been wrong, talk to an attorney. Talk to an attorney.
I'm talking with somebody like Mike.
Yeah.
Somebody like Mike.
That's right here, baby.
Talk to me, but just get an attorney. Get an attorney.
We're gonna get Mike to work on that reparation case. Now that's a real live personal injury case there.
Reparations, $1 million for every family.
I don't know if they can come up with a
With
number.
no inflation.
Yeah, no
I
taxes.
didn't say I don't know if they can come up with a number. They'll blow the whole couch up before they do that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's what's happening, man. Hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in to Barbershop Stories, the podcast,
for the bullshit,
episode
though.
90. We'll see you not next week because the comedy show is next week. And that's at the start on April 13th. That's a Wednesday. Doors open at 6:15. Show starts promptly at 7:30. Mike Bell, you come to the show next week?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Mike Bell say he'll be here, and if
I
not,
just
we're
need
going to
that,
get him for a
need that
personal
booth in
injury.
the corner.
That's right, move in the corner. I got you. Then
Not
also,
denying
too,
a buy.
if you're in the Auburn, Alabama area, April the 16th, Biggie, Terry Hart, myself, DJ Dame on the ones and twos, Auburn, Alabama at the Crown of Comedy Club. So that's April the 16th. And also the Knicks Family Fun Night. That was going to be the bowling on May 1st, but they still in school. So what we'll do, we'll just wait till June and we'll do another skate night. So y'all look forward to that. And as again, it'll be all free if you'd like to be a sponsor, put some on it, whatever. Hey, it'll be great. So make sure you stay tuned.
Boy, I done messed with the last
Barbershop
one.
Stories, the podcast, episode 90. We'll see you next time on 91. Shout out to Z-Lens Media, K1, or A.K. Kelvin, Lucius. Old Lucius over there. Yeah, man. Shout out to K1 Homes. Yeah, man. So we can post somewhere down the line. Shout out to Sam No Nose. Shout out to Mike Bell for taking the time out
Yo
to
to the
come.
Noops.
How about yo, baby, yo? Shout out to Mike Bell for sitting here rapping with us. And hey, we'll see you next week. That's what it is, and bye.
Oh yeah, man.
Like,
Gotta do that
combo,
again,
man.
man.
Yeah, man.
Get a free haircut too when I come through.